Grand day, grand day, grand day, grand risings to all elevated minds and souls. Hope that everyone is having an awesome and outstanding day. We are starting off with Mother Callie today with her awesome cosmic visitations and her journey. We're going to hear about that. It's very interesting, and I definitely wanted you guys to share in with this, and it does go into a few things. Welcome, Mother. Go right ahead. How are you today? And let's get into what we're going to get into today as far as your videos and your revelations.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me uh, to share these, should I say, cosmic visitations that happened in the city of San Francisco on the beach, on the wall. It looked like graffiti, but it started in 1995 through to 1998 when we moved away from San Francisco and came to Atlanta. Soon after we left, a friend who was still in Atlanta said that the wall had been painted over. And so apparently, these revelations of the future were meant for us exclusively, meaning myself and my husband, who we walked on the beach every day, just to get some exercise before we went to work. And so we presented all of this from 1995 to 19 no through to about 2002. And we what we had was a quite a number of lectures that were all over the United States and in the major cities. And we even took it to a few of the Caribbean islands. And so we did present this information all over, but it was now more than 20 years ago. But what I see happening is that what we were presenting, what was revealed to us personally through graffiti back in 1995 through 1998, is now major information all over the internet, including so called scientific groups like Gaia, or should I say, scientific. Um websites like Gaia. And so they're all talking about what was revealed to us many, many years ago. And so what I recently did was to put it all together to give some historical background because there may be some people who've never heard about it. There may be
Mm.
some people
Yes.
who've never heard about it. And so this is why I'm very anxious to get the information out. So I've broken it up in small denominations so that it will not overwhelm people. And so I'd appreciate it if you would go ahead and begin by playing the first one. This is Who's Your Daddy? And we're headed for what you may think is one thing and it's a whole nother thing, okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get right into it. This is part one, guys. These are short clips that she has put together on her YouTube platform. The link to her YouTube, please go and subscribe and like and share the video and the information that she's sharing on her own journey in this discovery. So if you guys could, we will go right ahead and play part one, two, and three. This will be a part one to this particular live, and she'll explain in afterwards why these segments are broken up this way, and then we will get into a discussion after part one, two, and three. Thanks so much. Let's go.
The cosmos is vast, but we live in a very small section of the cosmos. The cosmos is known as the Milky Way. In the Milky Way,
Our closest neighbors are the constellations of Orion and Sirius, the dog star. These planets in our star system that surround our sun are Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay. Our sun has a satellite that we call the moon. Years ago, while walking on the Pacific coast beach of San Francisco, I saw these huge symbols on the break wall of the beach. It's a high wall, concrete wall that keeps the ocean away from the Great Highway. When I looked at these symbols, they look like astrological signs. These symbols caught my eye. So I walked up to the wall to see more closely. There were messages hidden within the huge symbols. I decided to bring a camera to record these messages because I could not believe what I was witnessing. I called this the hip hop hieroglyphs. The images were like graffiti, and at this time, graffiti was so common that many people ignored them, just walked by. But I saw something else. There were stories that I really didn't understand at first. This led to many years of reading and research. There were a series of stories drawn in graffiti that stretched about 1 mile on the wall along the coast at the beach at San Francisco. The unraveling of an ancient story predating what we know as ancient Egypt lay before me in great amazement and wonder. But there is more to the story. Our sun has 9 planets, and counting the sun and the moon, there are 11 in this planetary group. However, there is a 12th planet. This visitor slides through our solar system anywhere from 3,600 years to 15,000 years. Its orbit is a wide elliptic, moving into our landscape between Jupiter and Saturn. Because of its great mass, the planet cannot approach any closer. Otherwise, its gravitational pull would disrupt the entire solar system. This planet, the planet is called Nibiru. The legends written on clay tablets, rewritten in the Bible stories, and the lore of many indigenous cultures has been denied by scientists, but its existence is now proven. Be sure to subscribe to hear the prophecies of the inevitable return of this mysterious planet, Nibiru. This prophecy was written on the beach wall at the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco from 1995 to 1998. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you with part 2 of Who's Your Daddy? Thank you.
We're going to get right into part two.
The Cosmic Prophecies. Who's Your Daddy? Part 2. Ancient DNA Doesn't Lie. The Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco told this story about 30 years ago. We were warned about the global changes, the polar shift. We were warned about the political global hierarchy and their certain demise. We were warned about the energies erupting from our sun and how this would disrupt human life on Earth. We were warned about the evil, the elite, and how they would attempt to hold on to power even when their time to rule had expired. It all seemed like a fairy tale until the masses of the people began to wake up, almost too late. But the visible writings on and pictographs on the wall were real. They were visible. They were photographs preserved until this day. But even I didn't get the full message at first. It was an enigma, a mystery, a puzzle. I knew there was more to those images, the graffiti, the pictographs, that I could not decipher. I was unable to decode. Not until a dear friend gave us a book entitled The 12th Planet, a major key was given. Clemson Brown of TAP Video, Transatlantic Productions, brought so many of our scholars and information into our homes. It was Clemson who gave us the book. He had not read the book, but he said that he thought that it would be of interest to us. The 12th planet was the key to the writings on the wall at the beach in San Francisco. This 12th planet was known as Nibiru. The 12th planet is a legend about humanoid species who inhabited the planet known as Nibiru. When we first saw the pictographs on the wall, astronomers had dismissed the existence as a myth, a story with no scientific evidence. Nibiru's presence is now acknowledged. Archaeologists have confirmed its ancient presence here on Earth. Along with the lore of indigenous cultures and the archaeological finds, Nibiru, sometimes called Planet X, is confirmed by science. On Nibiru, there dwells a highly advanced technological race of humanoids. Planet X, Nibiru, was dying at this time. This could be as much as 430,000 years ago. Their protective atmosphere was depleting, just like our protective ozone atmosphere is now depleting as I speak. The wise prophets and savants on Nibiru saw that the fine gold particles could be dispersed in the atmosphere to repair the damage. A deposed king named Alalu, who knew there was an abundance of gold on the planet Earth, known to them, the planet Earth was known to them as Tiamat. He risked his life traveling by spaceship to Earth to confirm the presence of gold. After hearing from Alalu, King Anu of Nibiru sent his eldest son, Enki, to Earth with many warriors and many workers whom were known as Ajiji. Enki reported back to his father, King Anu, that indeed there was much gold on Earth. This prompted the king Anu to send his son Enlil, who was the prince in waiting for kingship. He was sent to Earth to take over the mission to harvest gold. Ninhursag, the princess and chief scientist and medicine woman, also she was a geneticist, was also sent on the mission to assure the health and well-being of the Nibiru Earth mission. There is a dispute as to location of the spaceport and the gold mines. Allegedly, the Ajiji were first mining gold in southern Africa. Okay. Part 2 gives you the background story and setting for Who's Your Daddy? There is so much more forthcoming in the next videos. Please stay tuned. Please like and subscribe to part 3 of the Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco. Who's Your Daddy? Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video, part 3.
All right, guys, we're going right into part 3. Thank you guys so much. Let's go.
In February of 1995, we were deeply involved in our small business venture in the outer communities of San Francisco. We were engaged in a retail business of selling exotic plants, trees, and herbs. We were also researching medicinal plants of Africa and the Caribbean islands. We had written and edited several books and magazine articles as well. The last thing to be expected was to be tossed into the enigma of a cosmic creation story and asked to unravel the puzzle of the origins of man, especially of a story outside of the dogmas of science and religions. But here we were in the middle of this enigma and wondering, why me? The first image to draw us to the wall was these huge symbols, at least 25 feet tall, painted on the concrete break wall of the Pacific Ocean at San Francisco's Ocean Beach. For exercise before work, my partner and I walked on the beach daily. We were familiar with the wall, and when suddenly one day these huge symbols appeared, it was fascinating. I was engaged in astrology and astronomy for years, and I had studied ancient history and metaphysics. We were both engaged in natural science and world lore and legends, especially plant sciences, and focusing on medicinal plants. What calls what could these symbols mean? Moving toward the wall, we saw more symbols and hidden messages. It was all a great mystery. So I decided to bring a camera to begin to document these messages. It was like graffiti, but nobody paid attention to these drawings. Hidden deep in the graphics were messages, mysterious, elusive. My question then was, who's doing this? Who's painting these huge images on the wall? Some images were up to 20 feet tall. Some images were up to 50 feet long. Who could be doing this? Soon my question was answered. Ptah, Ptah. It was written on the wall. Ptah. Well, I couldn't believe that. The ancient the ancient Egyptian god Ptah, the former of man, the opener of the mouth. Why would an ancient Egyptian god come all the way to San Francisco to draw pictures on the ocean beach wall at the Pacific Ocean? No, 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 no. I couldn't believe this message. A few days later, Ptah was written on the wall in another location, written in thick blue letters. I had to accept this message. I knew that Ptah was communicating with us, but why? Why us? Solving the ongoing, increasing enigma of the wall graffiti became a challenge. Knowing that the images and the messages were either drawn on the wall or projected onto the wall. But how was this done? The beach was foggy and cold most of the time. The nights were almost always foggy. There was very little light on the beach, and the beach was patrolled day and night by the Park Service, the Golden Gate Park Service. How could I tell anyone that an ancient Egyptian god was drawing images on the beach wall with cryptic messages? Returning home each morning, we always took the grassy, elevated bike trail. Soon we saw a bird resembling the Egyptian ibis. Again, how could the Egyptian ibis be hiding in the tall grass on the bike trail of the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco? We said, if we see this bird 3 times, we will have to tell the world about the messages on the wall from the gods. Thus began my 25-year journey to tell the whole world about the return of the gods and the return of the blue horn goddess. Who was Ptah and how does Ptah tie into the Anunnaki? According to the ancient Sumerian texts, especially the Anumu Elish, after many eons of long life of the Anunnaki on earth, they eventually became the rulers of the lost continent of Atlantis. When Atlantis sank with the great flood, the gods went to Kemet, the primitive Africa, where they built the civilization of what is now known as Egypt. The Anunnaki who traveled to Egypt to tell the story was Tahuti, known commonly by the name of Thoth. Thoth was the son of Ptah, whose Anunnaki name was Enki. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco and Who's Your Daddy? Part 4.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I wanted to get into part 4 after you kind of go into a little bit of the information, if you like, or we can go ahead and continue. The videos aren't very long, so did you want to go ahead and get into part 4 now, or did you want to speak on 1 through 3 first?
Well, I want to speak about them because I need to clarify something, and it was just explained there at the end of this last one, which is part 3.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
the Anunnaki actually came here, no, of course, we don't know exactly when, but it's estimated that it's 430,000 years ago. It could be millions. We don't know. But when these Anunnaki came to Earth, they lived for thousands and thousands of years. And so what had happened to them, because those who were sent by their father, Anu, who was the king of Nibiru, those who were sent here to the US, to Earth, or what they call Tiamat, living here with a different cycle. Their year was like 3,600 of our Earth years. And so after a while, they were unable, like Enki, who was Ptah, Enlil, whom we now call Jehovah, not Yeshua, but Jehovah. And their sister, Ninkazita, whom we now call Isis or Osset, and Enki's son, or Ptah's son, who was thought, or his Anunnaki name was Ningazita. We call him Thoth or Tahuti. So because they had spent so many years in our environment, where one of their years, 3,600 of their years was, or 1 year, their 1 year was 3,600 years of our Earth years. And so, after living in this environment so long, they began to age more, and they could not return to Nibiru. Their father, the king Anu, advised them not to try because it just wouldn't work, because they had become familiar with this environment. And so after so many years of being here and so many earth changes and so forth, they evolved into another civilization, which we call the Egyptian civilization. Now, in Tahuti, or Thoth's Emerald Tablets of Thoth, he says that when Atlantis sank, that he took the civilization to Kemet. Okay, because apparently parts of what we know as the African continent now, parts of it did not sink at that time. So he took the civilization there. But there's a whole nother story to that, Egypt over there, because we have since learned that true Egypt is here in the Americas. But I just wanted to let you know that the Anunnaki names now have evolved into what we know as Egyptian names. And what I thought was very important. If they had if Ptah, who was Enki, had his name Ptah had not been on the wall, then I would not have recognized what they were talking about, because I didn't know at that time about the Anunnaki.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I didn't know. And it was that book, The 12th Planet, which helped me. And then Malachi York's book, he had several books, which also talked about this ancient civilization that came to Earth. Okay? So,
When you think about it, real
um,
quick, Mother, let me ask you about that. When you
okay.
think about it, there are also stories of they say we come from like the dark waters. Oh my gosh, what is this tribe? The Zulu tribe, I believe it is. They have said that like it's a dark matter, basically. They don't say dark matter, but this is how I perceive it, and this is how I see us when they talk about us coming from the soil. That's slightly different, I think, but how do you relate that? Because I find that to be more scientific, or as scientific. And does it relate to it? Does it have any inkling to us being derived from the earth, or being star seed children? Because of course we are cosmic beings in ourselves. So as being cosmic beings, and then when we hear these stories about the Anunnaki, does that relate to us being from the cosmos itself, like us being actual cosmic beings? Not in relation to like the God, sense that they try to, make it, but how do you, if you understand my question, can you
Yes,
answer?
I do. I
Okay.
understand your question perfectly. And as we go along in these videos, then that will be answered.
Right.
Okay. Now, because, okay, I think you're talking about the Dogon tribe, you know,
Dogon, thank you. Yes.
yes, who actually, and I mentioned this too,
Mhm.
who actually had contact with extraterrestrials,
Mhm.
who did come from the sea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and there's a beautiful depiction. It's been shown already of that Dogon and the Anunnaki, or the sea creatures, who came to talk to the Dogon people and tell
Mhm.
them about the star system. And remember now, it was the Dogon who first told us about, the star Sirius, the star system of Sirius,
Yes.
and the three sons of
Yes.
Sirius.
And
Yeah,
I
they
think
were the ones who told us about that,
mhm.
because so-called science didn't know about the existence of this. Okay.
Mm. Okay,
And
okay. So
so
this is
it
how
was
they even found out.
Dogon who actually, but now remember what we talk what the Bible says, that there were the roaring waters of Newt, or you
Yes.
can find this also in the stories from ancient Egypt, that
Yes.
we evolved from the roaring waters of Newt. Okay. But
Yes.
all things are cosmic energy, and melanin, which
In
we
itself.
possess in great abundance,
Mhm.
is what the dark matter of the universe is made of. Okay?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
so all of that is a part of the story. And this is why I really had to break it up into small doses, because it's a little deeper than what we all know. And as I said before, I didn't know it. And if it hadn't been for the books that that first alerted me to what was going on, then I really wouldn't have known where to look. You
Mhm.
see, I mean, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was something. I mean, you don't just go. I mean, we walked on that beach every single day. Okay. So when all of this ended up on that big wall, we said, well, what on earth is going on? And then getting closer to those huge images, we saw different writing, small writing within it. And let me tell you, it was a really interesting journey unraveling the story, because it took so much research, so many books of reading and so forth, and even these prophecies are still speaking, because there was pictures that I took. In fact, I'll show you. Let me get it. Almost 30 years ago, these are several of the pictures. So here it is. Yeah. Almost 30 years ago. And I did not really know what was going on. I can't get it. But I didn't know. I didn't know what all this meant until a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, back in 2020, when
Can you show that again?
What? Pardon me?
Could you show that again? I'm sorry, I put you on the solo screen so they could see what you were trying to show. You could see
Okay.
that.
Let me see.
Okay.
These are 4 different photographs.
Okay.
Okay. Now you see the demonic forces there, right?
Yes.
And then you see right next to it, there's a heart. And it says RNA.
Yes.
Okay. And then you see the A with the heart next to the heart. It was so big that I couldn't get it in one. I only had a Kodak camera. Okay. And so the next one says spit and snot. And okay, we know about spit and snot. Which we can't even, I don't know if we can mention this stuff anymore, but I don't want you to be censored.
Right.
I did not include this information because I'll have to put it on my Patreon, because I can't put it on YouTube.
Yes.
And talk about that. But it was there, 1995, this is 30 years.
Wow.
It was there. And then one day I'm looking at these pictures. I said, what? Because this was only a few years back, a couple of years. And they're continuing. I'm seeing different things that I never saw before, but I had taken the pictures. I've got over 200 pictures, some far away so you could see the whole thing, and then close up so you could see the different things that were there, small, Okay, so I hope that I have let you know how the Anunnaki actually are really what we call the Egyptian deities, and why they really had to stay here on Earth after they had been here for so long, and evolved into the so-called Egyptian, pharaohs and so forth. Okay.
Yes. A lot of them have how can I say it? The stories, like even when you're thinking about the Emerald Tablet in thought, a lot of the information that they say have come from the planets and bring it back here is the technology and things of that nature, and a lot of it is being exposed and usurped because I think a lot was buried to hide the information, but now as they dig up and find things, so on and so forth, now the revelation of a lot of this information, there's so much information out here. There's no way people don't understand or believe a lot of these things as far as the ancient information, so on and so forth. Doing the study and the research on it, I'm a very intense studier and researcher when it comes to certain information. And the Egyptian stuff, I've been looking into and studying for about 1.5 years now, and it's definitely proven, basically with it being here, when they talk about Egypt, but these names, they change the name, so we don't know what place is where, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Change,
Mhm.
so we know it's just a title per se. But when we think about the hieroglyphs and all these different things, it's proven that, hey, it was here. I'm going to pull something up, Mother, while you go ahead and speak on whatever you want to say on that.
Okay. What was it you wanted to pull up?
I wanted to show you some pictures, but I just have to find the book real quick. If you wanted to say anything else on this particularly, I would love you to. And, I did wanted to say too, with thought, remember another important thing where they were saying that he was not supposed to share the information. So there was a lot of information he had given to allow some of these things to happen as well because of, revealing certain information that should have been private.
Right. Well, okay. You remember the picture of the bird that I showed that we encountered on the path walking back in the above? It's like a bike
Yes,
path. Uh-huh.
yes, ma'am.
So this was the ibis that was in San Francisco. And so we kind of thought, well, what is that ibis doing here? You say in San Francisco,
Mhm.
and if you notice, the beak is the same as Tahuti, right?
Yes,
That beak.
yes, the little spike
Uh-huh.
curve. Mhm.
Yes. Uh-huh. And so thought Tahuti and Ningazida, that was his Anunnaki name, Ningazida. And he was the son of Enki, who's also known as Ptah. And like I said, if that name Ptah had not been on the wall, I really would have been lost.
Mm.
But I even see how, I showed that image of Ptah with a smaller person opening the mouth. That's a part of the story of Ptah or Enki creating the human being who, or should I say, the Lulu, because that first creation was that they made was a worker being, and they called them Lulu. Okay,
Mhm.
it wasn't us, the humans. We're different, and we'll get to that toward the end. You see?
Okay, okay, great.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
that's why I said I had to cut it up into small pieces to feed it to people slowly, and give them an opportunity to go back over it without having a 2-hour presentation. Sometimes our people are, especially now, you've got TikTok and everything, everybody want everything in 2 seconds, which that's not
Yes.
life. That's what they put us onto. Okay, so did you find the books you were looking for?
Yes, ma'am. Here it is. It's showing these. I don't know if you've ever seen any of these hieroglyphs, but I always say that wrong.
Mhm.
Can you say that for me, Mother, so I can pronounce it correctly? Because I know I'm
Hieroglyphs.
always
It's called
the
hieroglyphs. Mhm,
hieroglyphs. Yes, thank you,
mhm.
ma'am. So the hieroglyphs that have these pictures. Now, I've always seen. I found this old book, right? It's the ancient
Uh-huh.
Egyptian hieroglyph book, and this book shows a lot of the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and it's before being changed, from what I can understand. Because if you look at them, it's showing like the braided hair. I'm gonna go through them
Mhm.
really quickly, just so you can see some of them, and it shows them with the braids, which we know over
Well, of
here is
course.
where we have the braids.
Oh, absolutely. It shows that they were our people. We're the same
Yes,
people.
ma'am. The same
Yes.
people.
In fact, there are quite a number of Anunnaki videos on YouTube now. And they all depict the Anunnaki as heavily melanated people with what we call locks.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
But I ran into one yesterday where they painted all of the folks European, which of course Europeans were even created by that time.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
they weren't even here.
Exactly. Look at
And
this.
that's
You
what the story is about, is the creation of the Lulu, which is the non-melanated worker who was created here on Earth by the Anunnaki to mine the gold for them. They needed that gold up in Nibiru where they were losing their atmosphere. Okay?
yes.
So, absolutely, yes. And many of the videos that are online now, depicting the Anunnaki, show them as heavily melanated people with locks,
Right.
okay? Which is
It's
pretty
showing it right
much,
here. In
uh-huh,
The Nubians as well. These big, you see the size difference in these Nubian with the headdresses with the feathers,
mm-hmm,
and like what's amazing to me, a lot of the Aboriginal community, they try to say, oh, we didn't wear feathers and we didn't. Yes, we did. That it was a representation of something from the Nubians because they all had the feathers on their heads, and
mm-hmm.
that's very important to understand that, and that so I definitely want to just show this while you were we were talking about that, just to reaffirm to people that this is like our true heritage from over here. This is over here. This the
Right, right,
Egypt
right.
afros. He go to afros. Like they always try
Mhm.
to act like it's not. It's
Well,
not.
they have to create an alternative story to write themselves into the story.
That's right.
Okay, but this particular one that was put out on the wall by Ptah, I mean, he wrote his name in two places, on the wall. And it was captured, almost 30 years ago by us
Yeah,
here.
and this is how they were doing then, showing the stories of things and giving people the information, and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And you have
In
to make
drawings.
it out. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. hmm So we can go on to the fourth unless somebody has a question or you have a question or another comment. We can go on to number four. I think it's four.
Okay. Yes, this for. All
Mhm.
right. I'm gonna make me a little bit of tea, mother, and I will be back as it's playing. I'll be right back with you guys.
Well, okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Part four of the Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco. Part four, Who's Your Daddy? The title of this series may have misled many people. You may have thought that it was about the male who impregnated your mother, but no, I am taking you all the way back to the oldest male ancestors on this planet Earth. But this is a long story. And if I don't fill you in with the spaces and give you the information and history that you were never taught, this may all seem like a fairy tale to you. Therefore, I am proceeding to tell the story, the revelations of the cosmic prophecies of San Francisco as it was revealed to me. It is established that Ptah, the ancient Egyptian deity, was the source of this prophecy. His name was written on the wall in San Francisco at the beach in two different places, affirming him, Ptah, Ptah, as the messenger. Remember that Ptah was known as Enki in the Sumerian tablets. He was also the father of Tahuti, or thought, or Hermes, or the god of wisdom and knowledge. Who are the dark forces that rule this planet today? What beings are ruling this planet today, and what is their mission? The G7 the archons of another humanoid race have ruled over this planet as if they are God. They have enslaved everyone and created chaos and destruction throughout the world. They are associated with the Piscean Age and the Roman Empire or the Roman Church. They have only one eye and see only power and profit for themselves at the demise of all life and all life forms on this planet. They use gene splicing to change natural life on Earth and create other forms of life that they propose to replace the human and other species. They worship the black sun. They are true demons. Tahuti, or Thought as some call him, said that the dark energies were also responsible for the fall of Atlantis. The Philistines were the ancient Canaanites who fought the Hebrews in well known battles such as David and the Goliath, David being the Hebrew and Goliath being the Philistine. They had vast trade networks throughout the world. Nebuchadnezzar took them into captivity, the Philistines, and they lost their identity. The descendants of Nebuchadnezzar, the evil king, are now ruling the world. They rule through the Babylonian money magic, the Babylonian sex magic, and through lies and deception. The green hat, the evil ones who rule the world, the evil triangle headed by the Roman Church, the Crown of England, and their daughter, the USA Incorporated, in other words, the military industry, as well as the Rothschild Rockefeller banking cartel, have absolute power, presiding over the planet as God and enslaving all other races with lies, deception, debt, financial greed, religious dogma, and military terrorism. They are one eyed demons. Their latest scheme is to deceive the world into thinking that they are environmentalists, that is, a green hat. Their true agenda is to rule over the world or destroy the world through terraforming, GMO foods, and kill humans through artificial intelligence and artificial people. The New World Orders of absolute rule of the oligarchy is their goal. The Wisher and his demonic shadow. Ordinary looking people with secret agendas. The Wisher says, save the queen. Okay, that is the city of London and the queen, who are actually rulers over the American state. Their secret agendas, a different man, this Wisher. Could this be the watcher or the fallen angels of the Bible? The evil demons who dwell in the darkness and work in the shadows, lying, stealing, and deceiving innocent people? Hell on earth, 666. 666 for the carbon based people, the carbon 12 having 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. But the number has been associated with the evil spirits and satanic cults. Deception is the tools used by the evil demons who convince many that they are doing good, that they are righteous and honorable. The inverted Christian cross tells the true nature of the head of the Church of Rome, the greatest deception of the age of Pisces. The Roman Church has committed the greatest sins of this age. Note the inverted pentagram, which is the symbol of Satan, or aka Baphomet, the gold of Mendes. The intent is to turn the true indigenous carbon based earth humans into animals, use these humans as sacrifice to their gods. We see these satanic symbols in movies, music videos, all forms of so called entertainment, even halftime at sports events. There is a serious neurosis in the halls of the wealthy ruling elite here on this earth. The thirst for power creates insatiable desires for more power. Death and destruction is their modus operandi. When wealth is accumulated by any Aboriginal, melanated person or community, the elite send their death witches to bleed them dry and take all of their resources. Never in the history of mankind has there been such a wave of chaos, death as an industry, in other words, the military industrial complex. Destruction of the human species through poisoning of food, GMOs, medicine, pharmaceuticals, water, fluoride, chlorine, and lead in water, and air pollution, the carbon fuels. This is the objective of the New World Order's Agenda 2025 and Agenda 2030. Wickedness in high places, corrupted. This, when truth is revealed, many will not believe it. Is Bart due the Flintstones? And treachery in the West. What damage have these demons caused? This spaceship carries much of the horrors resulting from the reign of the evil ones. The quotes on the sides of the spaceship: feed the hungry, not the arms race. Another one: where did all the money go? You see that the spaceship cracked open and the money is falling out. And then Exxon sucks. As the evil ones conducted genetic splicing in space, the people suffered from pollution created through the rape of the natural resources and the theft of the people's labor. The demons made money for their personal wealth, power, and self aggrandizement. Recently, many space projects have collapsed due to divine intervention from our celestial ancestors and ascended masters. Genetic engineering in space. Billions of dollars went into space exploration. Space events such as Star Wars, now called Space Force, gravity free gene splicing, creation of Franken foods and Franken seeds, and cloned animals, including human cloning. Don't forget they cloned Tyrone. In 1995, most people were still sleeping, enjoying the false prosperity brought on by the internet explosion. Beginning around 1998, people on Earth began a downward spiral into poverty and despair as the evil ones grew richer, more powerful, and greedier. 10 years later, in 2008, the banks were robbed in broad daylight by the corporate banking cabal, that is, the City of London and the Federal Reserve, the Illuminati. Many people lost their homes, their savings, their jobs, and their dreams. Now the evil ones are being exposed. Still, many do not believe, do not see because of their devotion to scientific materialism, the matrix, the illusions of the age of Pisces. Genetic engineering led to widespread cloning using human women to birth children to be groomed as future leaders. For instance, Rosemary's Baby. Following the spaceship, world changes are depicted and signed by Divino Artista, divine artist. Genetic materials from space implanted in humans. Religious controversy erupts between opposing religious views. Good holies take out evil holies. Who are the good holies? And we know who the evil holies are. Will these religious dogmas lead to World War III? UFO written everywhere. Will the extraterrestrial races intervene to keep us from destroying ourselves on our planet? Are our celestial ancestors returning? Are they the Anunnaki or the Syrians? Are the good holies the Galactic Federation? Or are the good holies our own melanated brothers and sisters who are teaching us about our true identities and our true origins? Is the mothership Nibiru, aka Planet X, presently within our planetary orb? The story continues as we unwind the cosmic prophecies of San Francisco to uncover who's your daddy. Stay tuned for episode number 5. We will point out who the messengers was intended for. These messages were intended for a particular people. Who was the targeted audience and why were they targeted? Thank you. Remember to like and subscribe and share. I thank you very much. The Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco, Part 5. Who's Your Daddy? We began another episode of the mysteries of the graffiti of the Pacific Beach Wall in San Francisco. In the previous videos, we discussed the background of the cosmic prophecies that were revealed on the breakwave wall at the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco from 1995 to 1998. It was important to also expose you to the history of the creation of mankind on Earth. This history is briefly told in the Holy Bible that we are all familiar with. However, that story only tells a small part of the true story, and that biblical account is cloaked in mystery and deception by the powers ruling over planet Earth during the age of Pisces. That power is the Roman Church. The targeted audience for the cosmic prophecies is the ancient people written about in the holy books, especially the Old Testament of the Bible. They are the ancient Hebrews whom After the Babylonian captivity, they were scattered around this planet. It was recorded from old publications about the sinking of the advanced civilization of Atlantis that many survivors actually made their way to the mainland of North America, specifically in what is now known as the states of North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. The ancient Egyptian scribe, known as Tahuti or Thought, recorded that he led a crew of survivors to the ancient land of Kemet. Many descendants of the ancient Hebrews were survivors from the Great Flood in Mesoamerica. We have evidence of their existence in the Yucatan. The ancient ones, as they are called, the Olmecs. This slide has a hidden image. Okay. Can you find the space traveler under this space probe? Okay. Over the months beginning in February 1995 until we moved from San Francisco in May 1998, these images were changed, expanded, enhanced, and drawn over to unfold layers and layers of this ongoing saga of cosmic origins and earth change. Is the image hidden under the space probe related to our beginnings? Look carefully. There is a human face beneath the space probe. An apparent extraterrestrial in space suit and helmet, close up of the space traveler, apparently connected with Mars, who traveled to Earth, colonized and civilized the created beings. They also came to harvest precious metals. The space travelers created worker beings to do the mining of precious metals. They were Anunnaki, or were they Syrians? Stories about these space beings can be found in ancient Sumerian texts. Both Malachi York and Zachariah Sitchin and other authors have written about these space travelers. The space travelers built bases on both Mars and the moon, but they were apparently from the Anunnaki from Nibiru. We know that the moon is now colonized by some alien beings. Who are they? There is a striking resemblance to the giant Olmec heads found in Mexico, which also adorned similar space helmets. The image of the beings have pronounced, unmistakable African and Aboriginal American features. The Olmecs were the progenitors of the Mayan civilization and the builders of the North American Mississippi culture of mound builders. The evidence of the Olmec civilization is verified by the colossal heads that were rediscovered around 1871. After more than 500 years of misuse, abuse, fraudulent identification, identity theft, indoctrination, and terrorism by the European invading forces, most of these ancient people forgot who they were. They adopted the behavior of the colonizers. They worshiped the materials that the colonizing thieves introduced to them, chasing after cash and pumping up their egos based on their material gains. Behead closed up. The sleeping giants, Aborigines in America, who know not their true origins, their nationality, or their true status as the Aboriginal indigenous people of this entire earth, including North and South America. These original people are too busy searching for cash and working out ego issues in their daily struggle to survive. The Aborigines must wake up all over the world, and America must lead. However, the controlling powers of the Roman Church made sure that the indoctrination into their version of reality, their version of history, and their version of Christianity was enshrined. During the days of what was called slavery, which was the occupation of American Indian lands and the capture of the indigenous people into POW camps, that is, prisoner of war camps. This is known in history as plantations. The POW camps were known as plantations, and the indigenous people were confined to camps and forced to work under despicable conditions. The Roman Church secured their dominant positions by preaching their version of the Bible and their image of their Savior. The blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus, they promoted that image to their indigenous captives. Sunday church was the only free time that the POWs had. This Christian church remains the center of their social interaction even today. To ensure their dominance and their rulership under the captive Hebrew Indians and their stolen lands, the Roman Church assured their plantation politics dominated. They prepared a few whom were preferred by the colonizers, the house Negroes. The favor from the colonizers and the extra crumbs from Massa's table were picked up by these Negroes. They called themselves the Boule and the Divine Nine. These are the favored that received the colonizers' education and the extra privileges. They worked for the massa in their selfish best interests and against the best interest of their enslaved brothers and sisters, the captive people of Zion, the true Hebrews, the American indigenous Indians. The party to escape the trauma of oppression. The party to escape the trauma of oppression. The American Aborigines and worldwide Aboriginals are suffering from more than 500 years of the most oppressive conditions of enslavement and colonization. They seek constant gratification of their senses in order to cope with their intense daily pain. The post-traumatic slave syndrome, or PTSS, is a condition that is neither recognized or acknowledged by the people themselves or the larger population. The victimization continues even today. It is time for the original indigenous Americans, the Black Indians and Moors, to reach for their higher self, that God being within, and forego the entrapments of the lower self, the sensual nature, the desire body. Media quips. The media continues to feed the public short and sweet lies about the world we live in, the Matrix. Those who continue to depend on corporate media to supply us with news and information all prey to serious disinformation. The corporate mass media has been exposed for their fake news that is fed to the unsuspecting citizens. Now, most people who have learned better get their news from various internet sites and YouTube. Quip, twist, and skew. Disinformation paraded as news. Coming straight from the mouths of the media giants, we see and watch the lies that shape our opinions. The power of the corporate media is now controlled by the corporate evil ones, the evil cartel, the Illuminati, the banking families, the British crown headed by the Church of Rome, the Jesuits. There is no freedom of the press. Journalists can only say what they have been told to say by this evil triangle. Kazan Twister, media moguls of Kazakhstan heritage. Many of these evil ones who control the media are descendants of the Kazans of Central Asia, the Caucasus Mountains, who relocated to various European countries and began the banking, insurance, and media dynasties. The second letter encircled, A, is a symbol of an extraterrestrial race called the Ashtar Command. This same symbol has been used by anarchists and the Avengers, the Hollywood superheroes. There are extraterrestrials, the tall whites, who have worked with the Illuminati since the days of Hitler and share advanced technology. This symbol has also been used in several NASA space missions. Is this a race of aliens associated with or related to the Kazans and or the Archons? Close-up of the Kazan Twister. There can be no lies if the people are awake and aware. Rosy and flowery words fool most of the people most of the time. The Kazan Twister can only survive in the land of the blind, the people who do not see what is clearly in plain sight. Their eyes are blind to truth. The Illuminati controlled media, which is majority owned by the Kazans, keep the people deaf, dumb, and blind to the truth. Self-indulgent distractions. To keep the people from seeing or thinking, distractions of self-indulgent and destructive behavior are promoted by the media. In 1995, phone sex was prevalent and is now internet sex. Cigarettes, crack cocaine, methamphetamines, alcohol, and opiates are all used as pacifiers. The masses are unaware of what is happening to them, how they are being used and abused by the evil ones. Man gave up his divine heritage with the Creator God in order to pacify his lower self. Piscean age is ending, and we are opening the Aquarian age of knowledge, truth, and righteousness. The 9/11 forecast. When we saw this hieroglyph on the wall in San Francisco in 1996, We predicted that a great catastrophe would befall many people living in big cities. The prediction was that they would be axed and the tall buildings would fall on them, causing death and calamity. 5 years later, when the World Trade Center was bombed in New York, many people remember this prediction. Note the falling people lying below the skyscrapers. Women are abused and disrespected in the media. One of the greatest tragedies to befall American Aborigine women, uh, often called Black, is how they have been depicted in the media. This is an intentional media destruction of the moral and ethical underpinning of America's original indigenous people. Unfortunately, many American Aborigines in the entertainment industry are a part of this self destruction, selling their souls and selling their people out for a few pieces of silver. The rise of the superchurch. When these cosmic prophecies appeared on the beach wall in 1995, there were very few superchurches around America. Now, these for profit only, money making businesses have taken over and inundated Aboriginal communities and the media. The selling of prosperity as salvation has only depleted the public and financial resources and robbed poor and ethnic communities and nations of their spiritual inheritance and their dreams. The faith based initiative is money given to the churches, created and implemented by the Illuminati and the shadow government, and assures that the preachers keep in step with, promote, and support the New World Order agenda. These poverty pimps have no allegiance to the people whom they claim to be saving. The Aboriginal people throughout the world are being led to extermination for their lands and their resources. The people, the Aboriginal people in particular, are waiting for the Sky Daddy that has been preached to them through the churches. But you have a very, very ancient Earth Daddy. We will soon find out who he is. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco. Who's Your Daddy? Part 6.
Getting right into it.
The Cosmic Prophecies of San Francisco, Part 6. Who's Your Daddy? We have covered the history of the Anunnaki, the extraterrestrial entities who came to Earth to harvest gold to save their planet Nibiru. The cosmic prophecies actually showed this revelation as graffiti on the Pacific Ocean beach wall in San Francisco. The cosmic egg. Where is this message coming from? Somewhere in our galaxy, a cosmic egg was sent forth to begin to populate the Earth with a new life form. The origin of the star map says 104 degrees is somewhere near the dog stars, Sirius. 189 degrees intersects the great constellation of Virgo, the Virgin. These coordinates are giving us the identity of the beings who brought forth the cosmic egg. Who are these beings? Who is this virgin who brought forth the cosmic egg? Is this the origin of the new race of people on Earth? Are these the superhuman beings, an advanced race of humanoids who sent colonies to Earth to mine gold and to repair their planet? First, there was a cosmic egg, the beginnings of the most animal forms, and the mushroom, which is a primitive fungi from the plant family. Also, note that the coordinates 104 and 189 are disclosing the galactic origins of the extraterrestrial beings. An advanced race of space beings choose Earth. Is it Ninhursag, the cosmic mother of life, summoned from Nibiru to Earth to populate the land with a new humanoid? This humanoid is created through genetic engineering and incubated in the body of the Great Mother, Ninhursag. The goddess then brought in 8 additional goddesses to incubate the created being. One was known as Ninti. Blast off Ninhursag, the cosmic mother. This is a close up of the cosmic mother in a spacesuit and in a prone or sleeping position for space travel to Earth. Fire. This beach wall image is over 50 feet long. Okay. Close up of the feet of the cosmic mother, fired from the distant planet by means of a spaceship called a cosmic boat. Although the space travel was undertaken to harvest gold from the earth, they soon realized that they needed workers to assist them. Through genetic engineering, they created a new humanoid. This humanoid was created as a quote, in our image and our likeness. Uh, the blood of the gods was mixed with the genes of the indigenous earth primate and incubated in the body of the great mother, Ninhursag. When the space travelers first came to Earth, they brought their own workers who were from their planet. They were called Ijiji. They were not used to this strenuous work of digging and mining for gold. They soon grew tired of the hard work and they began to revolt. The rebellion caused Enki, who was in charge of the mining in the Abzu, which is considered to be southern Africa, to begin to think about how they could take a primitive being who was he was seeing in the Abzu and genetically alter them to become the worker being and relieve the Ijiji from the toil. Enki called on his sister Ninhursag, a scientist, geneticist, and a healer to assist him in the transformation of a primitive life form into a desired worker to assist in the harvesting of gold. They decided to re engineer this human like species. Enki and Ninhursag got to work using genetic splicing to create the worker being. This is described in the Holy Bible in Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image and after our likeness, that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and the wild animals. This is the biblical quote of this genetic engineering. Many mistakes were made during this creation, like the monsters in the movie The Isle of Dr. Moreau. There were many monsters created during this process of genetic engineering. Okay. The continuing changes on the wall show creation of a minotaur. Walking on the beach became a fascinating adventure as we did not know what new messages and images would appear each day. During the genetic engineering of the Lulu, many mistakes were made, including the creation of a half beast, half human. The Anunnaki also are depicted in ancient statues as half man and half animals. These artifacts can be found in museums in Iraq and Syria and other Middle Eastern places. On the wall in San Francisco, a minotaur's face changes overnight. Images of this minotaur is 10 feet long and 8 feet tall. The overnight change was amazing as there was little light on the beach at night for the artist to see. During the creation process of the work of being, many mistakes were made that resulted in unnatural creatures. Finally, after so many changes and so many trials and error, Nin Herzog and Inky realized that if the created being was to be like them, then Nin Herzog herself would personally have to incubate the genetically modified egg within her own body. Incubation of the humanoid. The creation of Lulu Amello through gene splicing. These hieroglyphs spread along a 75-foot stretch of the beach wall. Note the Christian cross labeled 666 to indicate some sinister creation, according to the information that we have been told. However, 666 also indicates a carbon based being, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. The original intention was to create the creation of a worker being. The first Adam was created, but he was the first of many failures. The hand was perfected, and then the arms and legs had to be adjusted. They could not speak, they couldn't talk. It was finally decided that the fertilized egg must be mixed with the soil of the earth, then incubated in the body of the Anunnaki female goddesses. Their success came after the clay was added to the genetic mixture. The continuation of the creation of the Lulu Amello on the wall in San Francisco. This creation of a new being shows DNA splicing with captions beginning with 666 to I need not a white heart, all the way to the end image with a caption, my life as Pud. What is this message all about? What is the cosmic artist, Ptah, aka Inky, trying to tell us? Why would this 666 mark of the beast be associated with the created Lulu? What is the meaning of a white heart? The American slang defines Pud as an act so dumb it defies creation's purpose, or it's a stellar follow up. A close up of I need not a white heart. The clone genetically created beings depicted above. Note the writing beside and above the images 104, 189, juice age, third degree burn, and pagan. Spontaneous human combustion. It was not uncommon from 1996 to 98 that there were reports about people spontaneously and without warning bursting into flames and burning, leaving only a trace of ashes. Is this a prophetic message that the genetically altered persons, the Lulus, will suffer from the heat of the sun or the solar flares during the coming days of cosmic fires as we move through the photon belt?
Mother Kylie, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to pause the video. I have to say something on this. Now,
Okay.
yes, I did an entire series. Well, not entire series. I did 2 parts on this, talking about the incubated babies and the beings, literally the radiant beings. These are the ones that they had at the World Fair. They were selling these kids for $20.
Right.
They were
Uh-huh.
creating incubators. And what you're saying is crazy because they had all these products, all the radiant products. They had to use the radiant products because they were doing just that. They were simultaneously combusting. They were being burned by the sun, and they needed the radium in order to keep them from deteriorating. Literally. It was, I mean, I did a whole 2-part on this. That's like crazy that this is actually even talking about that particularly.
Yeah,
And
the cabbage patch babies.
yes, ma'am. I did a cabbage patch too. Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's how they brought a lot of the Europeans into existence over here, especially the children. You know, they were incubated, they were created exactly where I'm not sure, but I did see a photograph one time uh,
Mm-hmm.
where there was like a nursery, and you know, with a nurse in that old nurse's uniform,
Yes.
with a whole incubation that was somewhere in New York. And what I found interesting that there was a young melanated boy, maybe about 10, 11 years old, standing there. And so
Mm.
I said, well, why is this young boy standing there? And then I realized that they probably took his his genetic
DNA.
material
Yes, ma'am.
to
He was a
actually
prototype.
create this being. But when it comes to this spontaneous combustion,
Yes, ma'am.
with what's happening now, you know, with
Mhm.
the sun,
Yes.
hey, it's getting rid of these folks without melanin.
Yes. And what happened is now it's so strong now, right? All the different things that they have created, like capturing our children, using their melanin even for the sunscreen, which is a whole big thing people don't even discuss, but it's disgusting. But they are using our children to protect them from this because they have no other way or resources. And now it's getting stronger. The sun is coming more and more into prevalence. So
Right.
now they can't keep using a cream and a spray. It's not going to work.
No,
It's really happening from the inside out.
oh,
Yes, ma'am.
absolutely. You know, and of course, this also explains why they are promoting interracial marriage and
Yes, ma'am.
integration. You know, just they want the melanin now,
Yes, yes.
and if our men, you know, are with their women, then the women will raise the children different from the way we would, you know. They will tell them somehow that they're better or something. I think that this is really what's at, or don't teach them who they really are. You know,
Absolutely.
so this Lulu, starting from about 5 slides back, I mean, the creation of the Lulu, it's
Is it LULU, mother? I'm sorry, Lulu. Is it just LULU?
it's spelled here Lou. It's at the beginning
Okay,
with the
LO.
inverted cross, and it says Lulu. And see, this is why, you know, when we first saw it, I didn't know what Lulu was until
Mhm.
I read the 12th Planet, you know, and Malachi York. I didn't know who the Lord
Mm.
was, you know.
So
Was
let me ask you this, because I'm very familiar with a lot of these stories. What amazes me a lot of times is a lot of it kind of blends in, right?
mm-hmm,
They like the talking about the different things and Malachi York, and I've never been too much into his information because I don't really know much about him. The things I hear are always negative. Oh, he was a molester, this and that. I don't know if he was or not. I don't know the story enough to talk about it or comment on it, to be honest. But I definitely hear a lot of negativity when it surrounds him. But one thing I will say, Mother, and I've never thought about this until now when we're talking about these different things you're revealing and showing. Um, During my spiritual journey, I'll say this, metaphysically, right? As I came more into certain knowledge that literally the ancestors and my cells were telling me, like certain binary frequencies were opening in me that led me down directions or avenues to certain information that I was not privy to, and I didn't know why, but I just went. Whatever my spirit tell me to do, I just do it. So
mm-hmm.
as I did that, I developed certain knowledge. This is how I understood about the incubator babies and how they were selling them at the fairs, and understand about the radium and how they were creating them, how they had to have certain pharmaceuticals. Like, this is why we're not supposed to be going to doctors and in hospitals and things
And
to get
certainly not
medicine.
taking their pharmaceuticals.
Yes, because they are pharmaceuticals. They're witchcraft, and they're not for us. They're for
Right.
them. These things are created for other people that aren't us. And so when you're consuming something that's not for you, that's going to go against your natural chemistry. This is why it's not good to use these things. But these different things go into a lot of the information that let me say this. How can I say this? That I knew not only spiritually, but health wise, right? Because I also am a self-taught alchemist. I've created
Mm-hmm.
certain healing things, ointment, creams, things of that nature,
Right.
that are awesome. So when it comes to that journey actually led me to certain information. And what's amazing, I was looking into information into ENT because I used to try to explain to people about the wave formatting, how this actually plays a part on your physical being. It's like writing on a crystal disc, right? And this is how they
Uh-huh.
actually formulate it, understanding how to do that, right? So with doing that, it kind of showed me something with Dr. York. This is when I really had first heard about him, because I hadn't heard people talking about him. And then I was like, Dr. York, I'm like, who is this guy? So I read a little bit about it, and something I ran across with the barothary gland. I don't know if you're familiar about his.
Barothoric, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm a barothoric gland. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so the barothary gland has a function that the information I was looking into when it came to the health part and the natural healing, and it took me into that information, which was, I was like, wow, okay. I said, so maybe what he's saying, a lot of the stuff this guy is saying is actually true in actuality. I don't know how much is it to where a lot of things he said and done are so true, where they've put this image of him so people don't look into his work and have an understanding, because he taught so much truth, because that obviously happens too. So I don't know enough about the story, but I do understand that a lot of the things he's spoken on are true from my own unrelated stories, until I even found the guy's information. Because when he talks about I don't remember the book it was that I ran across that he supposedly wrote or did write, but he talked about the gland in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the wave format I be telling people about. I'm like, this is like when I tell people the ENT and our senses, all these things that are connected to certain things, that's literally what he's talking about. But he has
Right.
that name that he's called it. So I'm like, this man ain't lying about this. I don't know what he did or whatever, but he's definitely intelligent enough to know this information, because this is something that I have myself and I've been teaching. So I don't know, how he got it or his aspect of it, but he definitely defines that very precisely and clearly. I wanted to say that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I visited the area down there at Edenton.
Mhm.
Actually, we had a more personal relationship with
Mm.
some of the women who were helping him with the books and so forth. But I have a whole banker box full of his books that I bought and actually read over the years. Now, whenever we have a leader who has this kind of information and publicizes it, the first thing they got to do is take it down. And they have to take that person down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't have any of proof of anything, but many of the people who had accused him and had him actually put in jail, have actually taken their testimony back. They have said that no, they were they lied about it.
They were
But
probably coerced, obviously.
yeah, I mean, you know how it is. They
Yes.
don't. Do you think they wanted this info out?
Absolutely not. And it was,
Thank you.
what's crazy to me is it not comparing myself to him at all, but it's kind of the same thing that I've been going through since I've been on the YouTube community. The type of information that I try to explain and show people because of just my studying, and I feel it's important for us to know. Certain people seem to find an issue or a problem with that, and that does happen. It's like they have to demise the person in some type of way, so people don't see all of the things that they can gain, or something of the sort.
Oh, but of course, and of course, the media, led by the
Mhm.
cousins,
Yes.
who have, it's like the triple-headed demon, the Roman Church, the City of London, and their baby, the United States military industry, the shadow government. And so naturally, they want to continue their hegemony on this planet and
Mhm.
rule over everybody. But, people are waking up. And this was a part of the awakening, these these images on the wall projected. Apparently, we couldn't figure out how they could make these huge pictographs overnight. It changed, sometimes overnight. And I mean, we are just minding our business. We weren't out here trying to find this information.
Mhm.
It was put in our face.
Right.
And so I had to take these pictures, in order to prove it. I really didn't think that 30 years later, I would still be talking about it. But
Yeah.
like I said, it keeps on changing, and being verified, just like how the sun is actually destroying non-melanated people.
That's right.
And this is,
A couple
I
of them,
mean,
and they're covering it up, mother, real quick on what you're saying, with the sun. They're covering up the suns. There's been multiple times. I'm a sky watcher. I haven't talked about a lot of the pictures and things I've seen lately, but literally they are literally covering up the sun. There's more than one sun. It's multiple
oh
times
yeah.
that I've captured it on pictures. Yeah.
Well, the Dogon said there were 3 suns.
Yes, I've seen at least 3.
Well, now what my belief, and I haven't seen or heard anybody say anything about it, but I believe that that 3rd sun that they say you can't see is our sun.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whatever is happening now, whatever they have in front of the sun or whatever they're attempting to do, what's happening is that
The solar panel. It's the 2 suns in the solar panel, mother. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you again, but wanted to say that what the brother says, 2 suns, 2 natural suns, right? And then there's the solar sun, the one that they put up fictitiously. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I just want
no, there's a Sirius C. There's Sirius A, Sirius B, and Sirius C.
Okay.
Okay, this is what the Dogons say. All right? But it's my belief, and this is my personal belief, that Sirius C happens to be our authentic sun that we have out there, But the sunflowers have been turning away from the sun here recently. Have you
Hmm.
seen that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And
Absolutely.
so
Because
something's wrong. I don't know what they're doing, but I know that China had tried to put a false sun up there, and
what's the
I
solar
mean,
panel?
they're trying so many things
Mhm.
to actually increase their lifespan
Because see
because
the right the sun has the positive ionosphere, right? So when it comes to them putting up the false sun, when you mentioned the sunflowers turning away from the sun, that's because it's a negative energy. So it's a form of protection, just like we do. We protect ourselves from things that are harmful. The plants have that naturally within them. So now the sun that is a negative sun, which would be something unnatural, it's trying to protect itself from that. The environment protects itself. So
right,
that's why the plants are turning away from it, because it's not the real sun. But
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
the
Go ahead,
real
mother.
sun.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
not. But you certainly can't. I mean, they've made it so obvious who the Lulus are. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're blue eyed with a white outer covering,
Mm-hmm.
or should I say, well, to make sure that we understood what it meant. And
Yeah.
then that we need not a white heart. Well, when we get into the next video or the next, we'll talk about
Okay.
what's this white heart, you know, and
Yes, ma'am.
why a white heart, and what is it about the Lulu who are still on Earth at this point and actually in rulership. You
Yes, ma'am.
see.
So you want to
Mhm.
continue? We have about 8 minutes of the rest of part 6, and then we'll get to the next one. Did you want to continue on now?
Oh yes, yeah, we have to finish this one. I mean, if
Okay.
you want to go into, well, if you only have 8 minutes, then we'll have to put out off the final one until maybe we'll do another. I think it's 21 minutes long or something like that. But let's finish this,
Okay. Great.
okay?
Or is this a warning that the human activity on this, our Mother Earth, with the loss of our ozone layer, will seriously alter our weather patterns and cause great heat waves, droughts, and pestilence, leaving human populations vulnerable to weather calamities? What we see today is the solar flares, which is causing havoc on the lands of the non melanated people and to them as well. There is a great suffering because of the magnetic emissions from the sun. Those without melanin are at risk, and we are seeing increasing cancers and tumors in this group of humanoids. Is this another message of the origins of these beings? Close up of the message on the beach wall. Again, 104 degrees, 109, 189 degrees on the galactic star map is repeated. The star Sirius constellation of Canis Major is around 104 degrees. The star map places the constellation of Virgo or the Virgin at 189 degrees. The precise midpoint of 104 and 189 dissects the constellation of Cephas, the Ethiopian king, and the constellation of Aquarius. Is this a message that we will see the rise of the melanated God man with the age of the goddess in the dawning of the age of Aquarius? Another message, Juice Age, dates these images to correspond with the murder trial of the Juice or O.J. Simpson in 1995. Also note third degree burn, third degree burn of the blue eyed beings. The true pagans are members of the Roman Church of Christians. Rockefeller. A clear example of changes made in the same graffiti over time. See how this added writing is pointing to Rockefeller banking and oil cartel, New World Order czars, Bilderberg Group, Committee of 300, Council on Foreign Relations, World Economic Forum, as one of the evil ones involved in the attempted worldwide destruction of humanity. This is also the name taken by a hip hop artist around that time, Jay-Z, during the time in the 1990s. Who is this man? Is this Yakub or Enki, the scientist from another world? Above the head of this man is the symbol of the Majestic 12, who hid the facts of the extraterrestrial alien visitation in 1947 at Roswell, New Mexico, and they continue to cover up extraterrestrial knowledge even today. Ancient texts report that the visitations of an alien race thousands of years ago who genetically created the human like species with a mixture of their own DNA and the DNA of the primitive humanoid, perhaps a Neanderthal, here on Earth. The Sumerian texts call the scientist Enki, who is known in ancient Egypt as Ptah. Others call the scientist Yakub. Is this what this race of genetic scientists look like? This picture of number one could be forecasting the coming of Barack Obama. The founder of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, told us about the scientist Yakub who created the so called white man. This was over 60 years ago when Elijah Muhammad gave us that teachings. Yakub declared that this created being would live, rise, and then rule over a period of 6,000 years. After that period was up, their time would also be up, and they must be expunged from the planet Earth. With all the catastrophic events prophesied, the coming of the comet coming from the Saturn Cronus, the projected splitting of America down the Mississippi River, the polar shift that will bring in the new North Pole star Cephas, the Ethiopian king, all these changes could wipe out this entire civilization. Of course, as always, the world itself will not end, but the world we know will end. There should be no fear of change. The only constant in the entire universe is change. Everything is in constant motion, changing. We must prepare for these changes by first changing our hearts and our minds. We cannot survive apocalyptic world changes by holding on to old beliefs and mindless propaganda spewed out by the media and the powers that be. The lyrics from a song by Nina Simone, the godmother of soul. There is a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There is a new world coming. This world is coming to an end. There is a new voice coming, and you can hear it if you try. It's growing stronger with every day that passes by. Godmother of Soul, Nina Simone. Stay tuned for the final.
So, Mother, you said you wanted to wait to do part 7?
Pardon me?
You said you wanted to wait to do part 7?
I thought you said you only had 8 minutes.
No, I said it was 8 minutes left for part 6.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes,
no. I mean, if you have time, we can certainly
ma'am.
do that.
Yes, ma'am. I told you I was going to make sure we got this done today, and I want it to be completed because it's powerful information, and it definitely needs to be together. So it's only, I think it's 20 minutes for the next video as well. So
Yeah,
let's
the
get
next one is 20
chapter,
minutes long.
chapter number 7.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, I said that it's, I think, 21 minutes long. And I'm showing one of the books, Malachi York's books, that many images that I used are there in this particular
Okay.
book, The Sacred Records of, the Anunnaki, Atum Ra. Okay, Neter
Okay. Great.
Aferti Atum Ra. This is the Malachi York's book. I took several images from, not a lot, but I just wanted everyone to know that this is the book that I used. There's no copyright in any of them, but I still wanted to make sure that everyone knew that I took some unity. I used some of the images from the book. Okay. Now we can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Great.
In this ongoing saga of the cosmic prophecies of San Francisco, who's your daddy? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Peace. The Americas thought who was instrumental in creating the intelligent human surely brought them with him to establish his new empire. Over the thousands of years, thought reigned in the Americas, and with the extensive construction of sacred spaces, including the complexes called Machu Picchu and Palenque, we are assured that the highest level of creative mental development was implemented. In the Holy Bible, the stones that guard the fortress of the city of David are huge. The description of these structures very much fits the construction and the stones of Machu Picchu. Many older publications likened the Mesoamerican temple complex to the Jerusalem of the Bible. The location is in Peru, and Heru, the Egyptian god, are basically the same name. The ancient and exotic maps show that before the extensive cataclysms on the earth, the survivors continued. Often their homes and temples were covered with mud and debris. They continued going back to their primitive beginnings with their highly developed minds and creativity. It did not take them very long to recreate themselves. Had it not been for researchers like Dr. Edward W. Robinson of the African Genesis Institute in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we may never have known about the genetics and the intelligence maps of the human species that have evolved from the higher form of biblical Adam or Adapa, who was known as the first civilized human on earth. According to the Sumerian texts, Adapa was the creation of the biblical Adam and the blood of the Anunnaki gods from the planet Nibiru. It was revealed in a 2013 publication of the New Scientist magazine that the DNA of an American Aborigine, aka African American, aka African American Mr. Albert Perry of South Carolina has changed the timeline of the biblical Adam from 220,000 years ago to 340,000 years ago. That
Okay, this was the when I watched this video, guys. It was nearly to the end. I'm so sorry. Hold on. We're gonna
Yes,
start.
started at the, yeah, started at the beginning so that the whole story can be told, because it goes through. Yeah, I said, oh, that looks
No,
like
it did. It started. I think I skipped it. That's probably what happened because I remember starting at the beginning. Yeah, I skipped it or something by mistake. I'm
oh,
sorry.
okay.
But yeah,
All
let's
right.
start over real quick. All right, great.
Okay.
the cosmic prophecies of San Francisco. Episode 7. Who's Your Daddy? The creation of the Adapa. First came the Lulu, a worker that was specifically created to labor in the gold mines for the extraterrestrial gods, the Anunnaki. What the Bible story leaves out is that with the creation of the first female, a demoness was the result. She was Adam's first wife, whom we know as Lilith. She is associated with Erishkigal, the granddaughter of Enlil, the military commander of Nibiru's Earth mission. Erishkigal was confined to the underworld, the Abzu, in southern Africa. She was considered to be an evil spirit and given the title Queen of the Night. In Mesopotamian mythology, Lilith is given this same title. She was known to make both men and women infertile and not having the ability to reproduce offspring. The Bible account of God creating mankind in Genesis 27 was just the beginning of the story. There were many versions of the creation of mankind that are told in full in the Sumerian text. When it was discovered that Adam and Lilith could not procreate on their own, it was then that Enki's son Ningishita, whom we know as Tahuti or Thought, decided another genetic innovation that could give the Lulu the ability to reproduce their kind. Ningazita convinced his father Enki and his auntie Ninharsag, the geneticists, to allow him to take the marrow from their bones and create an upgrade of the genes of Adam. Ningazita took bone marrow from the chest of Ninhursag and placed it in the chest of Enki. Then he took the marrow from the Enki and placed it in the chest of Ninhursag. It was this mixture that was used to create another version or upgrade of the Adam and the Eve. They were successful. Now, the Lulu could reproduce their own kind. This was when the creator gods, Enki, Ninhursag, and Thought, Ningazita, felt that they had accomplished their objective. Now, we have heard the Bible stories about Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve's two sons. We have not heard about the others. However, they produced many beautiful children that were never mentioned in the Bible stories. Bible students often wonder how, after Cain killed his brother Abel, how was it possible that there were so many people who populated the earth. The Anunnaki who lived for thousands of earth years. The Emerald Tablets of Thought speaks about the halls of Amenti, the rejuvenating chamber that they retreat to rest and restore their power. Often the gods would adopt an avatar during their visits to the halls of Amenti. Enki, in one of his avatars, visited the Abzu, where Adam and Eve, the earthlings, lived and worked with their children. Enki was overtaken by the beauty of their daughters and seduced them. He impregnated two of the daughters of Adam and Eve. One of the daughters brought forth a male child. The other daughter brought forth a female child. Therefore, their lineage was directly from an Anunnaki god. The male child was named Adapa. He was considered the first civilized man. Enki took his two children to his wife, Ninki, also known as Damkina, so that the children could grow up in the palace and to be educated as their own children. Enki told Damkina that he found the children floating in a basket in the bulrushes near the river. Damkina took the children into her home and embraced them as her own. This is a similar Bible story, like where Moses, a Hebrew, was found floating in a basket and adopted by the Pharaoh's daughter and raised in the palace. However, there were many generations removed from the creation of the Adapa and the story of Moses. It is my opinion that Adapa was the beginning of the Hebrew people as the direct lineage of the true Hebrews on earth, the true human beings. Enki taught his children, born by the daughters of Adam, to read and write mathematics and sciences and astronomy. In their early years, they were displaying the wisdom of the gods. Because Ningazida, or Thought, had tested the DNA of Adapa, he knew they were his own siblings by his father Enki. He was anxious to take Adapa to see his grandfather Anu at Nibiru. So, with Enki's blessings, Ningazida traveled to Nibiru with Adapa to introduce their intelligent human to Anu. Before they departed for Nibiru, Enki advised Adapa not to eat the bread and to not drink the wine when offered by his grandfather Anu. Anu was suspicious of his grandson's refusal to eat or drink. Ningazida gave King Anu a letter from Enki. Enki revealed to his father Anu that Adapa was his own flesh and blood, revealing that if Adapa ate the bread and drank the wine of Nibiru, that he would be immortal like the gods and would live forever. From John, the Bible, John 6:51. I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eats of this bread, he shall live forever. Enki's message to his father was that he wanted the civilized humans of the earth to possess the creativity and genius of the gods, but he also wanted to limit their lifespan to 120 years so that they would never ascend to the level of immortality. Additionally, Enki inserted a worship gene so that the humans would always hold their creator gods, the Anunnaki, in high esteem and worship them. It is important to insert into this narrative that the Anunnaki did not consider themselves to be the ultimate God, capital G, of the entire universe. They considered themselves the lords over the earth and the lords of the genetically modified earthlings. This can explain the difference in the Bible that speaks about God with a capital G and the Lord God with a lowercase g. Now that we have established that the direct descendant of the Lord God Enki was the authentic Hebrew of the Bible, we can move forward to show how real Hebrews living on earth today have a direct link to the ancient Hebrews of the Bible. Let us add some additional evidence brought forth by modern science to show the genius of a select and chosen people on earth today. False science and false scientific theories were created in the past 150 years. They were based on Eurocentric parameters engineered by eugenicists and questionable statistics conjured up by the likes of Charles Darwin, Francis Galton, and Carolus Linnaeus. Certain scientific facts have been uncovered over the past 25 years that have debunked the basis of these theories of racial inferiority of the so-called Negro race and the superiority of the Caucasian race. Why is it necessary to insert these facts into the discussion on who's your daddy? When many generations of people were indoctrinated into believing certain theories about racial characteristics, traceable facts must be presented in order to correct these fictitious beliefs. The scientific publication, American Association for the Advancement of Science, published in 1996, has discovered that there is a genetic difference between sub-Saharan African populations and Northeast African or non-African populations. The mapping of the entire human genome was a 13-year effort to list all of the roughly 3 billion letters that make up a person's DNA, and it was completed in 2003. Further, and this is a quote, but it remains incomplete nearly 20 years on. The vast majority of it is still European. Genetic material from people of African descent makes up just 2% of the entire 20-year study. What is discovered is that African genomes are not only humanity's oldest, but our most diverse, and that diversity holds within an almost unfathomable potential, especially relating to the possibility of genius. Why have geneticists ignored most of the world except for Europe and have examined only 2% of the African genome? The so-called African American was not included in the study. Their reason for excluding African Aboriginals is because the scientists already know what they will find. Perhaps they are still trying to find out who they are, the Europeans, and where they come from. So far, the study has revealed that orangutans have 3 DNA series, gorillas have 4 DNA series, chimpanzees have 5 DNA series, Europeans and Asians have 6 DNA series, and Africans have 9 DNA series. Africans are also considered the only completely human species on Earth. We know that in ancient times, before the great calamity, the sinking of Atlantis, and the splitting of Pangea, the land masses were together and the people were of one race. The land masses of West Africa and America fit together. And according to the geological assessment of Georgia, it is the same landmass or geological plate as Senegal. Therefore, when the land split, the people were scattered on both sides of what is now called the Atlantic Ocean. Based on these facts, we can surmise that, as far as modern science can prove, the oldest people on Earth are what they call Africans. Everybody with heavily melanated skin is considered African, although recent studies have shown that many temples and pyramids in North and South America are more ancient than the pyramids of Egypt and the ruins of the Middle East. Academia is still sticking to the story of origins of civilization in Africa. According to the Sumerian texts, Enki's son Ningazida, or Thought, and his brother Marduk had disagreements. Thought created another empire in the Americas, while his brother Marduk reigned over what we now know as Mediterranean or Middle East. We know that Thought presided over the temples of the Americas. This is where his most famous writings, the Emerald Tablets of Thought, were found. We can presume that he directed the construction of the temples in America and taught the people how to worship and care for these sacred spaces. According to the Emerald Tablets, Thought was taught by his father, Enki or Ptah, astronomy and cosmology. He knew how to align the pyramids with the cosmic destinations, especially Orion, Sirius, and the Pleiades. All these constellations that are located in our nearby Milky Way neighborhood. These constellations are also mentioned in the Holy Bible. Having established this advanced civilization in the Americas, Thought, who was instrumental in creating the intelligent human, surely brought them with him to establish his new empire. Over the thousands of years, Thought reigned in the Americas, and with the extensive construction of sacred spaces, including the complexes called Machu Picchu and Palenque, we are assured that the highest level of creative mental development was implemented. In the Holy Bible, the stones that guard the fortress of the city of David are huge. The description of these structures very much fits the construction and the stones of Machu Picchu. Many older publications likened the Mesoamerican temple complex to the Jerusalem of the Bible. The location is in Peru, and Heru, the Egyptian god, are basically the same name. The ancient and exotic maps show that before the extensive cataclysms on the earth, the survivors continued. Often their homes and temples were covered with mud and debris. They continued going back to their primitive beginnings with their highly developed minds and creativity. It did not take them very long to recreate themselves. Had it not been for researchers like Dr. Edward W. Robinson of the African Genesis Institute in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we may never have known about the genetics and the intelligence maps of the human species that have evolved from the higher form of biblical Adam or Adapa, who was known as the first civilized human on earth. According to the Sumerian texts, Adapa was the creation of the biblical Adam and the blood of the Anunnaki gods from the planet Nibiru. It was revealed in a 2013 publication of the New Scientist magazine that the DNA of an American Aborigine, aka African American, aka African American, Mr. Albert Perry of South Carolina, has changed the timeline of the biblical Adam from 220,000 years ago to 340,000 years ago, that the biblical Adam was said to have been created. This also explains why the DNA of Aboriginal Americans and the genius and creativity expressed in so many indigenous Americans stands above and beyond other races. As carefully as the powers that be attempt to hide this fact, the genius stands out. Based on Mr. Perry's DNA, humans existed in South America in very ancient times. The antediluvian map shown here shows modern Brazil as the place of the Octathon, the original people. All the ancient maps, the ancient history, clay tablets, the written accounts of ancient Egypt, and the so called Greek historians line up to tell the true story. Thank you, Dr. Robertson and Albert Perry and your family, who chose to allow this truth to surface to prove that their ancestors, Mr. Perry, has replaced Adam of the Bible and shows us that Adapa, the first civilized man, is real and living in America. This is your daddy, Albert Perry. Peace. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, your family, your enemies, and everyone, so that the myth of who the American so called Black really is, the original human on earth, the original civilized human on this planet Earth. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video with everyone.
And yes, the video is the link to the page where you can watch all of the series, all 7 parts is right here. You guys can go there. Definitely subscribe to the page. It's so much. We definitely want to. It's been a little bit lengthy. I wanted to put all the information in, but we still will do a part 2 because I know there are a lot of things that we can discuss on the topic. It was very revealing, Mother. And I enjoyed every bit of it. And a lot of it, I wanted to say, when it comes to when they're talking about like the cosmos and the galaxies, a lot of this stuff is inside of us. And when they talk about the dome, maybe we can get into this into part two. The dome being like your mind, right? The temple that you have, which is your that's your dome, and being trapped in your mind and not being able to escape certain things that they're putting on you when it comes to this physical atmosphere. So now these things have attached to you and become a part of your reality that's created in the dome, which is the mind, which keeps you trapped under the dome. I don't want to get too much into that, but we can definitely elaborate more, Mother. But I definitely want to hear what you wanted to go ahead and say in relations to everything we just watched.
Well, as was pointed out, we, the Aboriginal people of the Americas, okay? Because remember that the Mississippian culture has been related to the Olmec culture. We know that they traveled, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
What we need to understand is that our people, the so-called African American, the so-called Negro, Black, colored, you are the original intellectual, actually civilized humans. And they can trace us all the way back to a living creature here in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's passed away now, but his lineage is there. And we have to remember too that when they are looking for genetic material, they always look to our people all the time, while they're trying to convince us and the rest of the world that we are inferior. But the truth of the matter, which has been solved now, is that we are the ones with the 9 DNA strands. And let me read. Okay. The orangutan has 3 DNA series. The gorilla has 4 DNA series. The chimpanzee has 5 DNA series. The Europeans and Asians have 6 DNA series. But the heavily melanated Africans, African Americans have 9.
Yes, and I try to explain to people that they're when people think it's a prejudice thing, we say that they have pig, dog, and all these different monkey DNAs in a lot of these
Not
beings.
us. We don't. We don't have all that.
Yes, they do, because they are closer. That in
Well,
itself is
yes.
the DNA structure. They're closer to that end of the spectrum, which makes them more animalistic. And people have to understand this is why they don't have the guilt and
They
they
don't
don't
have
have
a.
the conscience.
There
They
is
don't
no
have any
soul.
soul. There's nothing that connects them to the 9 ether, which is what the 9 ether beings are. Because why? The cosmic is you being a cosmic sentient being. So we're connected to everything that is of the true earth and the essence, and the cosmos being a part of us and actually inside of our DNA structure. So that makes a big, large difference.
A very big difference. And the reason why we are still alive after all the attacks on us, is because we have so much possibility of changing who we are, as far as like if there's a virus put upon us. Generally, those of us who have kept our bodies in good shape, we can overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when they try to place the HIV into the Congo back in the late 90s, I believe it was, 80s, 90s. I remember a book. It was called Emerging Viruses, AIDS, Ebola, and something else, but emerging viruses. And I heard the gentleman who wrote that book in a late night radio show. I heard him say that when they placed that virus into the population in the Congo, and especially within the population of the working girls, you know, the
Yeah.
prostitutes, that they actually created another series of DNA and overcame that. We're not even hearing that there's any HIV in Africa anymore, when they were trying to tell us back in the day that the Africans were going to be obliterated, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they told us they were all going to die. Well, there are more Africans on, you know, in
Right.
Africa now. I think that they have the most young people in the whole world, you know, under the age of 25. You know, so this is what happens. And what's the sister's name whose DNA they're using all over the world?
Henrietta Lacks.
Uh-huh. You see,
Yes, ma'am.
immortal genes.
Yep.
Why?
Immortal. That is the
Because
top. That's right.
Immortal genes. Now, when Inky actually was he was the father of Adapa, you know, and he was not the father of the Lulu, but he was the father of Adapa, which means that that lineage is directly associated with the gods. All right? And so this is what has been shown and proven, and actually expresses the fact that the genius lies within us. You know, and look, even in Africa right now, we have Zimbabweans, you know, and of course, you know, those Igbos over there in Nigeria, you know, they're ancient Hebrews. That's their ancient religious beliefs, is that they're Hebrews, you know. But also throughout Africa, you have young people inventing so many things, and so have we. America would not even be standing up today as a leader, although it's losing, you know, because of the what's happening on Earth. They're losing that dominant position, or have lost it here in America, you know. But who invented everything here? We did. Although the credit goes to somebody else. I heard somebody say the other day that some white boy with a beard founded hip hop. I said, what?
Right. They are crazy.
How can this white man with a beard, a white beard at that, have founded hip hop?
Putting the lies and the false narratives out there for the younger generation to start believing the lies.
Well, yes, and because they're into, you know, this social media, and that's the reason why I had to bring this out again. You know, hey, we've got to put this information out. You know, that we are the
That's
ones
right.
who are the whole we are the children of the sun, the children of the gods, and it's been proven. And it wasn't our so-called our science. They still looking for themselves. But what they found was us, just like every time they start digging. Who do they find? They find us. You know, and
all
so
the time, everywhere. And avoid
everywhere,
us.
everywhere. You've seen those maps of Pangea, the last one that was shown.
Yeah.
It actually does prove right there at Emory University in their archaeological, geological information. They say that the United States, should I say, Georgia actually is in the same geological plate as Senegal. And you can see that when you put the maps together, as in Pangea. You can see that it was, and so when the great calamity came, it just split the continents, and the people were on both sides. Yeah, that one. You can see Africa in that, and it's right connected with the state of Georgia, and that's the reason too why they say when
in
Atlantis
South America.
What's that? What'd you say?
No, I'm trying to get. No, nothing. I'm trying to get to the other picture.
Oh, okay. There it is. So, well, there it is. Okay, you can see Africa in there, right? And you can see where Georgia, if I had a pointer, I could, is in that same geological plate as Senegal. And it says they're right there in the museum at Emory University. What do they call that? Fairburn? No, not Fairburn. I can't think of the name of that museum out there at Emory University. That's where I first saw that. I said, "Oh, is that true?" Yeah. And you could also see Angola is connected to Brazil. So we're talking about the people who were aparted with the great calamity, right? Yeah. And so there you are. We are the blood of the gods, and we can prove even today that we've been here for more than 430,000 years, probably much longer than that. But this is something that is they are admitting to, even though Yaqub was supposed to have given the created Lulu 6,000 years, which that 6,000 years is up. And so here we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. Mother, we did get through all of the parts, but the information is in the description link for anyone that's coming in late. You can rewind it, go over the information, and yes, we'll see about part 2. We're going more into this information because it is very outstanding and revealing a lot of it. So definitely want to have some more conversation on it. But we have been at almost 3 hours. I'm a bit tired myself, and I definitely want to get back and have a clear head when we discuss this more. Did you have any other words before we get out of here, Mother?
Only that if at some point some people want to chime in on this information, perhaps we can do a session where we do that. Okay?
Okay, that sounds great as well. Anyone interested, make sure you guys send me a message. Reach out to Mother Kylie. Her phone number is in the description as well. You can also go visit her herbal store. It's a link in the description as well for that, to get some natural herbs, moringa being one of her products, and also her Cashapp if you'd like to donate to her for, she does have a farm. She's doing quite a few things. She's still doing in her 80s, her young 80s. And after quite a few things that she's been through in the past year or so. So we definitely want to support her in all ways we can. If you are in Georgia and you're near the area, and you might even be able to put some hands on, make sure that you reach out to Mother Cat. We will definitely be tuning back, and I don't know exactly when, but we'll confer so that we can get to more discussion on a few of these topics. I appreciate everyone that came in today for the live. Peace, love, and bliss, and I hope you guys enjoyed the information. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much, Mother.
Okay, I thank you so much for inviting me to come.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much.
you
And peace
always.
to everyone out there. And thank you for the comments.
All right, guys. Peace and bliss. Thanks, Mother. Have a great one.